Hi everybody, my name's Peyton and this is a tutorial for Bluetooth for Android. In this tutorial we'll cover the basics of Bluetooth and we'll also make a Bluetooth app and basically cover all of the fundamentals of Bluetooth in order to get you started developing Bluetooth applications for your Android devices. To answer the question, what is Bluetooth? Let's use an example of a USB connection between a phone and a computer. So we got our phone here, and you might be saying something like,
Peyton, that's an iPhone. I thought it was supposed to be for Android.
but I'm going to ask you to use your imagination and pretend it's an Android phone for the sake of this. So we got our phone and it's connected to our laptop, and through that connection, we can transfer photos or any other files from our phone to our laptop or from our laptop to our phone. They're connected through this cable. We can send data and communicate between that. So Bluetooth is very similar to that, except that it's wireless. So we're able to communicate from one device to the other and send data back and forth. And so essentially what Bluetooth is a wireless connection to share data between devices. Bluetooth works pretty similarly to connecting to a web server. So we got our web server here and it's just sitting there waiting for something to come connect to it. Let's say that this is facebook.com. So it's waiting for somebody to type facebook.com into the web browser. This computer comes along, enters facebook.com, it reaches this web server, it does some web server and like client server stuff, and they form a connection and they're able to connect and share data with each other. You know, the same can happen for a phone or another computer. We can have all sorts of different devices connecting to this web server at the same time. Now that these devices are connected, the users can share all of their personal information with Facebook, and Facebook can share with them that cat picture that grandma posted last weekend. Bluetooth works similarly to that, as we will have one device that is awaiting to be connected to. Once a device comes along asking to connect to it, that device will stop waiting for devices to come connect to it and connect to that device. So you might be wondering, well, how the heck do I connect to a device? To connect to a web server, I type in facebook.com, but how do I know what device to connect to? And that is done through the device name. So it might be Jimmy's phone or somebody's phone, or maybe just a random name. And also there's MAC addresses. In order to find this information, Bluetooth devices have what is called discovery mode. And discovery mode allows a device to broadcast its name and MAC address to surrounding devices, so they're able to get this information in order to initiate the connection. Without this discovery mode, you kind of just have to know what the MAC address of the device you're connecting to or the device name is. In order for devices to utilize Bluetooth connection, they have to have a piece of hardware that enables them to do that, that has the Bluetooth juice in it, I suppose. So we'll call those Bluetooth adapters for this case, because in Android, that's what they're called. So these Bluetooth adapters have multiple functionalities that allow them to connect to each other, and they can do some pretty cool stuff. But for the sake of just connection, they have what are called sockets. And if you're familiar with client server connections, this will sound very, very familiar. And so we have one socket, the one on the left here in this case, that is the receiving end, and one that initiates the connection, and that's the one on the right. So once we create these sockets in Bluetooth in our code, then we're able to connect the two. So they slide in there and connect like that. This is all done virtually. It's wireless, as obviously because it's Bluetooth, but this is just an example to show kind of how this is going to work. And once we get a little bit further into the tutorial, this will make a lot more sense. But just know that in order for the two devices to connect, there has to be a receiving socket and a socket that initializes the connection. There are tons of devices out there that use Bluetooth connection. For instance, we have headphones, which allow you to listen to music wirelessly over Bluetooth. We have cars, which allow you to connect your phone, and so you can use like hands-free calling and cool stuff like that. We have microcontrollers. If you're not familiar with what a microcontroller is, think of it as like a really small computer that can do very minimal stuff but are very useful. And we have peripherals like watches like Fitbits, smartwatches, and whatever. But for the sake of this tutorial, moving on, it would be great if you had a two Android devices. They can be phones, tablets, whatever. As long as you can run Android code on them, that is what you need for all of this to make perfect sense. In the next video, before we get started with our code, we're going to learn about services. And services are very important for Bluetooth, in my opinion. You don't necessarily need them, but services allow you to run programs and stuff in the background. So if you minimize out of an app, it doesn't lose your Bluetooth connection and so on and so forth. But we'll get to that next video. And if you guys don't get this, that's a Barberries, doing service to this guy, cutting his hair. So anyways, in the next video, we'll cover services. And then after that, we'll get into actual code.